Welcome to Lesson 23.2, Roots. In this lesson, we'll describe the main tissues in a mature root and describe the different functions of roots. The three plant organs are the leaf, stem, and root. They are composed of different types of tissues: dermal tissue, vascular tissue, and ground tissues. Dermal tissue is on the outside of the organ. Vascular tissue is in the center of the root, in a ring both in the stem and in the veins of a leaf. Ground tissues fill the outer spaces. Roots make up a lot of the plant mass. The exact ratio varies plant to plant. In a 1937 study of a single rye plant, botanist Howard Dittmer showed that the length of all the branches in the rye plant's root system was an astonishing 625 kilometers, 387 miles. The surface area of these roots was more than 600 square meters, 130 times greater than the combined areas of its stems and leaves. Let's take a look at the two basic types of roots: a taproot and fibrous root. In a taproot system, the primary root grows long and thick and gives rise to smaller branch roots. In a fibrous root system, no single root grows larger than the rest. These differences result from the activity of the primary root. In a taproot, the primary root grows more vigorously than branch roots. In fibrous roots, the system begins with one primary root, which is soon replaced by many equally sized branch roots that grow separately from the base of the stem. Taproots are more common in dicots, while fibrous roots are more common in monocots. This diagram shows a root not only as a cross-section, but also as a long section. The dermal tissue in roots provide protection and absorption. The epidermis is the cell type that makes up the dermal tissue in roots. Dermal tissue in roots also include root hairs. These thin cellular projections penetrate the spaces between soil particles and produce a large surface area that allows water and minerals to enter. Just underneath the dermal tissue is ground tissue. Just inside the epidermis is a region of ground tissue called the cortex. Water and minerals move through the cortex from the epidermis towards the center of the root. The cortex also stores the products of photosynthesis, such as starch. A layer of ground tissue cells, known as the endodermis, completely encloses the vascular cylinder. The endodermis plays an essential role in the movement of water and minerals into the center of the root. The center of the root is composed of vascular tissue and is called the vascular cylinder. The vascular cylinder is composed of both phloem and xylem tissue. The tip of the root is the root apical meristem. The apical meristem produces new cells near the root tips. The root tip is covered by a tough root cap. The root cap protects the fragile meristem as the root tip forces its way through the soil. As the root grows, the root cap secretes a slippery substance that eases the progress of the root through the soil. Cells at the very tip of the root cap are constantly being scraped away, and new root cap cells are continually added by the meristem. What are the functions of roots? Roots support a plant, anchor it in the ground, store food, and absorb water and dissolved nutrients from the soil. It takes energy on the part of the plant to absorb water and nutrients. Soil is a complex mixture of sand, silt, clay, air, and bits of decaying animal and plant tissue. Soil in different places contains varying amounts of these ingredients. Sandy soil is made of large particles that retain few nutrients, whereas the finely textured silt and clay soils of the Midwestern and Southeastern United States are high in nutrients. Plants require a variety of inorganic nutrients in addition to carbon dioxide and water. The nutrients needed in largest amounts are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, and calcium. Nitrogen is used for proper leaf growth and color. It is used in the synthesis of amino acids, proteins, nucleic acids, and chlorophyll. A plant that has a deficiency of nitrogen may have stunted plant growth and pale yellow leaves. Phosphorus assists in the synthesis of DNA and the development of roots, stems, flowers, and seeds. A deficiency may result in poor flowering and stunted growth. Potassium aids the synthesis of proteins and carbohydrates and the development of roots, stems, and flowers. It also provides resistance to cold and disease. Deficiency results in weak stems, stunted roots, and the edges of the leaves may turn brown. Magnesium is used in the synthesis of chlorophyll. A deficiency may result in thin stems and mottled pale leaves. Calcium is used in cell growth and division, cell wall structure, cellular transport, and enzyme action. A deficiency may result in stunted growth and curled leaves. The cell membranes of the root hairs and other cells in the root epidermis contain active transport proteins to transport nutrients. Active transport is a process that uses the energy of ATP to move ions and other materials across membranes. Active transport brings the mineral ions of dissolved nutrients from the soil into the plant. The high concentration of mineral ions in the plant cells causes water molecules to move into the plant by osmosis. Osmosis is the movement of water across a membrane toward an area where the concentration of dissolved materials is higher. The root does not actually pump water, but by pumping mineral ions into its own cells, the end result is almost the same. Once the nutrients pass through the root hairs and epidermis, they pass into the cortex and then through the endodermis. The cells of the endodermis are each shaped a bit like a brick. Where these cells meet, their cell walls form a special waterproof zone called a Casparian strip. Most of the time, water can diffuse through cell walls, but the Casparian strip ensures that water and dissolved nutrients pass through cell membranes before entering the vascular cylinder. This helps regulate what gets into the plant. As minerals are pumped into the vascular cylinder, more and more water follows by osmosis, producing a strong pressure. Because the water is contained within the Casparian strip, the water has just one place to go: up. Root pressure produced within the cylinder by active transport forces water through the vascular cylinder and into the xylem. As more water moves from the cortex into the vascular cylinder, more water in the xylem is forced upward through the root system. Root pressure is the starting point for the movement of water through the vascular system of the entire plant, but it's just the beginning. Once you've learned about stems and leaves, you'll see how water and other materials are transported